Crimes exposed by Google Maps and Street View. 7 criminal cases. In each of them, Google Maps and Street View played a key role by exposing them. Chapter 1: The Backyard Massacre. On July 30th, 2010, in the quiet suburbs of Richland County, South Carolina, 3 men, Leslie Todd Parvin, Edgar Lopez, and Pablo Gutierrez Guzman, sat drinking together in a backyard. What began as an ordinary summer afternoon would soon unravel into something unspeakable. At some point during their gathering, tensions escalated. Voices rose, tempers flared, and in a moment of rage, Parvin reached for the handgun concealed in his waistband. Without hesitation, he pulled the trigger, taking the lives of both Lopez and Guzman. The reason for the fight remains unclear to this day. But once the shots were fired, Parvin knew he had to run. He jumped into his green Kia minivan and drove hundreds of miles to Louisiana. In a desperate attempt to disguise himself, he shaved his head and destroyed the weapon and the van. For a few days, it looked as if he had vanished, but investigators had a crucial lead. A witness had provided police with a partial license plate. Detectives searched records of green Kia minivans in Louisiana and soon located an address that matched. Out of curiosity, an officer opened Google Street View to check the property. And there it was. Sitting right in front of the house was a green minivan with the same description given by the witness. With that evidence, Parvin's days as a fugitive were numbered. On August 19th, less than a month after the killings, he was brought back to his neighborhood by a relative and arrested. The public would later learn that Parvin was no ordinary suspect. He was a 20-year Army veteran, a man who had served 5 deployments overseas. He had been diagnosed with PTSD years earlier. His father later testified that the trauma from Iraq and Afghanistan had changed him forever. Instead of receiving proper care, Parvin slipped through the cracks of the system. 2 innocent men lost their lives, and a veteran who once served his country ended up sentenced to 35 years in prison. At 75, if he survives that long, he will walk out into a world that will hardly resemble the one he left behind. There is a lot of long and meticulous work behind this, and your simple like can help me a lot. Have a good day. Chapter 2: The Cameroonian Massacre. In July 2018, a horrifying video broadcast by Channel 4 stunned viewers worldwide. It showed uniformed men escorting women and children along a dirt path before executing them in cold blood. The armed men accused the victims of being members of Boko Haram. Outrage spread instantly, with many pointing the finger at the Cameroonian army. But the government of Cameroon denied everything. Officials claimed the footage wasn't even filmed in their country and accused foreign media of fabricating lies. The BBC wasn't convinced. A team of researchers decided to dig deeper. Using Google Earth and satellite imagery, they examined the mountains visible in the background of the video. They soon identified the location, near the village of Kwakwa Mafa, close to the Nigerian border. By analyzing years of satellite data, they determined that the killings had occurred between March 20th and April 5th, 2015. The Cameroonian government's defense quickly collapsed. They had claimed their army didn't use the rifles shown in the footage. but analysis revealed the weapons were Serbian-made Zastava M21s, rifles that were indeed standard issue for their forces. Even the uniforms matched perfectly. Faced with overwhelming evidence, the government changed its story. Officials admitted that 7 soldiers were under investigation. In 2020, 4 of them were convicted of murder and given 10-year prison sentences. A 5th soldier received 2 years for filming the killings. 2 others were acquitted. The punishment was shockingly light for such a heinous crime. Yet without satellite imagery and relentless journalism, there may never have been justice at all. Chapter 3: The Long Island Serial Killer. Between 2010 and 2011, the sands of Gilgo Beach on Long Island's South Shore revealed a horrifying secret. 11 bodies were discovered, many belonging to women who had worked as escorts. The murders dated back decades, as far as 1993. For years, the case haunted New York. In 2023, investigators finally made their breakthrough. They arrested Rex Heuermann, a 60-year-old architect and father of 2. DNA evidence, cell phone records, and his distinctive Chevy Avalanche tied him to several of the murders. Inside his home, detectives found something even more disturbing: thousands of grotesque internet searches and a massive Word document. It wasn't just notes. It was a step-by-step manual outlining every detail of how to abduct, kill, and dispose of victims. The document included checklists for each stage of his crimes. The horror didn't end there. Online sleuths uncovered a Google Street View image taken in 2022, more than a year before his arrest. It showed Heuermann near his office on East 36th Street, standing with an unidentified woman. Was she a future victim? A random passerby? No one knows. But the image is haunting, a snapshot of a predator in plain sight.
Rex Heuermann, I'm an architect, I'm an architectural consultant, I'm a troubleshooter, born and raised on Long Island.
Okay.
Been working in Manhattan since 1987.
The case is still ongoing, but prosecutors say if convicted, Heuermann will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Chapter 4: The Street View Mugging. In September 2008, a 14-year-old Dutch boy was riding his bike through Groningen when 2 young men suddenly approached him from behind. They dragged him off his bike, stole 165 euros and his phone, and disappeared. Police searched for months but found nothing. There were no witnesses, no leads, just the boy's vague description of his attackers. 6 months later, the boy opened his computer and began browsing Google Maps Street View. Out of curiosity, he checked the exact street where he had been mugged. What he found was unbelievable. The Street View car had captured the very moment the 2 men walked up behind him. As always, the faces were blurred, but the boy immediately recognized their build and clothing. He called the police, who quickly requested the unblurred versions from Google. Once they saw the images, investigators instantly recognized one of the men. The second was his twin brother. Both were arrested. The chances of the Street View car passing by at that exact moment were almost zero, yet that coincidence brought justice. Chapter 5: Death on the Nautilus. In 2017, another case shook Europe. Kim Wall, a 30-year-old Swedish journalist known for her fearless reporting in Uganda, Cuba, and the Marshall Islands, traveled to Copenhagen. There, she arranged to interview Peter Madsen, a Danish inventor famous for building his own rockets and a homemade submarine. On August 10th, Kim joined Madsen aboard his submarine, the UC-3 Nautilus. She never came back. When she failed to return, her partner reported her missing. Days later, parts of her body washed ashore. Over the following weeks, divers discovered more remains, stuffed into weighted bags on the seafloor. Madsen was taken in for questioning. He claimed Kim died accidentally, first saying she was struck by the hatch, then insisting she inhaled toxic fumes. Neither story fit the evidence. Forensic analysis revealed stab wounds. Eventually, Madsen confessed to killing her and disposing of her body. In April 2018, he was sentenced to life in prison. In 2021, he staged an elaborate escape attempt, faking a bomb threat. He was quickly recaptured and returned to his cell. Years earlier, Google Street View had photographed him climbing into the very submarine that became Kim Wall's grave. Today, Madsen remains imprisoned, destined to die behind bars. Chapter 6: The Sardinian Villa. Not every crime involves bloodshed. Some involve deception and greed. In 2002, Italian authorities became suspicious of a property sale in Porto Rotondo, Sardinia. A local businessman had sold a villa for just 280,000 euros, a fraction of its real value. The Guardia di Finanza suspected tax fraud. Using Google Earth, they scanned the luxurious coastline until they located the villa. Its unusual swimming pool shape made it easy to identify. The truth was undeniable. The property was worth millions. Investigators then uncovered 7 million euros in undeclared funds, hidden in the businessman's accounts. Though official records of his sentencing are scarce, it's almost certain his assets were seized and that he served prison time. The Sardinian villa remains a prime example of how satellite imagery can expose not only killers, but also white-collar criminals. Chapter 7: The Silent Witness. These cases span continents, decades, and crimes, ranging from street muggings to serial killings to international war crimes. But they share one thing in common: the role of technology. Google Maps, Street View, and satellite imagery, tools designed to help us navigate the world, have instead become silent witnesses. They record moments we were never meant to see. They capture details invisible to the human eye. And sometimes they hold the key to solving crimes that might otherwise remain mysteries forever. From quiet backyards to distant war zones, from the dark alleys of Long Island to the clear waters of Sardinia, one tool has kept appearing where no one expected it: Google Maps. Designed to guide us through our everyday lives, it became an unblinking witness, capturing fragments of crimes the perpetrators thought were invisible. These cases remind us of a chilling truth. In today's world, even the smallest detail can betray the darkest secrets. And somewhere, right now, the silent witness is still watching. In an age where every corner of the planet can be photographed, no crime is truly invisible.